Compensation is one of the most critical and complex challenges in global hiring. Companies must balance things like fairness and competitiveness and scalability while navigating market benchmarking, cost of living adjustments, and legal compliance, among others.
We're essentially acting as mini economists, in my opinion. Economic factors like the political landscape, war, tourism, inflation, all of this has an influence over the cost of labor, right? So it's a proxy for cost of labor. You really can't have this kind of one size fits all approach when you're operating in multiple locations. In a global environment where I've seen companies struggle is really thinking that that one size fits all approach is really going to work. Not understanding those local pay practices is where I've seen companies kind of misstep and then they're cleaning up, right? Or they're not retaining talent. I'm a big advocate for being transparent about not only what your comp philosophy is, but why you're paying. Again, going back to people having access to more data than they ever have before. Everyone has, most people have the internet. They're very smart. And we have sites now like salary.com, Glassdoor. It's giving people access to pay data. And comp is most times considered this closed door, black box, mythical function that, you've got your comp professional sitting in a back room somewhere crunching numbers, right? And so it's human nature if you don't understand something to not trust it. And so you start making it up on your own, right? And then you go to Glassdoor, salary.com and you're comparing the two, right? And so if companies can be more proactive in what their approach to compensation is and it helps take that guesswork out of it for the team member. My first pillar, and I tell every single person that ever works on my team this exact thing, is that, aligning compensation to the overall business strategy and having those deep understanding of company financials, that helps get it right. If you can understand how the company makes money, how the company spends that money, it just makes that role for compensation that much more impactful. And when you think of compensation, it's not just spending money on, base pay, right? So what are you paid every other week, every month? It's bonuses, equity, everything should tie back to to your company's overall strategy. What's really key for me is making sure that your managers are actually champions of your comp philosophy. Your people managers are really the first line of defense when people have questions, right? And equipping your manager to be able to answer those questions and understand why we've made decisions. Again, it just helps to equip them to have those conversations with the team members. And again, going back to building that trust on the approach and why, ultimately just makes you that key partner. So I think that trust and really building that trust and transparency with your people managers is super key. Think of compensation like a box. You don't want your box to be so small that it's really restricting you from being adaptable to local kind of nuances. But you want your box large enough to where it's going to keep everything contained without everyone doing their own thing, right? Like you don't want everyone doing their own thing because then it starts to get messy. My tagline is always just stay curious. When you're operating in this many countries, whether it's one or two or 100, is to stay naturally curious. Comp is one of those big line items in the company's budget, and a deep understanding of being naturally curious about local nuances for each of those locations. And then balancing that with the overall strategic vision of the company. Ultimately, you want to get every return on your dollar spent. So it's really staying curious and staying open to other locations out there.